Hell. There it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our live show on Mondays at 12:30. This is Rachel Matthews. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach. I'm sure you guys have seen me on this show before, but I'm missing someone. I'm missing Dr. Julie Gilbert. So she's not going to be joining us today, and I'm going to fly solo a little bit. So bear with me while I don't have anybody to talk with and kind of chat back and forth with. I still want to go through today's chapter of the book that we're reviewing. So as many of you probably know, we're kind of going through this book, Michael Pollan's Food Rules. And we had before on our live show been going through what's for dinner and kind of talking about nutrition and talking about what we're eating, just to kind of give some inspiration and some motivation. And we quickly learned that people need and want more information on the real ins and outs of nutrition. What should I eat? Why should I eat those things? What should I not eat? And we're not talking about a diet. We're not talking about restrictions or rules in the sense that how we think of them. We're talking more about ways to kind of guide our eating choices. What are the myths around eating? What are the truths? What do we want to be eating and why? So this book seems to be a really great, simple, quick. I mean, it's a small little book, and each chapter is, less than a page long, and they're small pages. And it really is giving us some talking points. So if you're following along at home, or if you, are just, tuning in for the first time, I'm glad you're here. And I'm just going to go through this next chapter that we're on in the book and kind of talk about what are some examples of what this chapter is about. So it's chapter 3. Whoops. And the title of this chapter is Avoid Food Products Containing Ingredients That No Ordinary Human Would Keep in the Pantry. So what are food products that you wouldn't keep in your pantry? Well, these are things like chemicals. These are things like additives. These are things like thickeners and emulsifiers. And, we're generally not cooking as scientists in our kitchens. We're cooking with real food. But then when you go to the grocery store and you buy something that's packaged, there are all these ingredients you can't really read. And it's oftentimes confusing with what they really are. Is it an additive? Is it a flavor? Is it a thickener? Is it just a plain chemical? Is it a preservative? What's going on? So I'm just going to read this, especially if you don't have the book with you, or you kind of are wondering what he's talking about. It's not long. I'm just going to read this quick paragraph, and then I'll talk more about it. So he says, ethoxylated diglycerides, cellulose, xanthan gum, I'm sure you've heard that one before, calcium propionate, ammonium sulfate. If you wouldn't cook with them yourself, why let others use these ingredients to cook for you? The food scientist's chemistry set is designed to extend shelf life, so preservatives, and make old food look fresher. This is why a Twinkie never ages. And more appetizing than it really is. Okay, so the point is to make food look better than what it really is. And the bottom line is to get you to eat more. So stop there a second. The whole point is to get you to eat more. So this means that they're messing with our normal rhythm of eating, our normal hormone release, our normal taste buds, and satiety. These chemicals are designed to do that, to make us want to eat more. Of course, if we eat more, we want more, we buy more, and they're the ones who benefit, not us. All right, so whether or not any of these additives pose a proven hazard to your health, many of them haven't been eaten by humans for very long, so best avoided. The point he's making there is that while some of these additives aren't necessarily harmful or dangerous that we're aware of, they've been approved by the FDA. It doesn't seem like they're causing harm. We may not actually know. We may not actually know what kind of harm is happening to our bodies and what damage is doing along the way. Not to mention that they're not natural. They're not normal foods that humans should be eating. And so why not just avoid them whenever possible, right? And really, the stickler here is that knowing that these foods are put into these, or these additives are added to the food that I'm eating to get me to eat more means it's tricking me, right? It's tricking my taste buds. It's causing me to taste something that's not natural. And so since I have you captivated and there's no one else here to talk to, I'm going to tell you a quick story. It actually happened this weekend. And so it's a great example of something like this. So I was listening to a podcast. I listened to someone named Howard Jacobson, and he was interviewing an author. He wrote a new book called Burn. And if you haven't heard of it, check it out. It looks like it's going to be pretty fascinating. It's kind of new science behind exercise, metabolism, calories we're burning. It's kind of just new. So I haven't read the book yet. I can't vouch for it, but this was the podcast, and it's Herman Poncer, PhD, is the author of the book. They were talking about exercising, burning calories, food, and the host of the podcast, Howard Jacobson, he said, he was exercising for a while, training for a race, and he got injured. And so he had to back off. Now, he had lost some weight while exercising. And of course, he got injured. His bad knee kind of flared up, and he had to back off on the exercise. And when he did that, he started to gain the weight back. And he didn't want to gain the weight back. So he started to go on something called the bland diet. Now, this is a diet that's used for lots of different reasons. I think people who are sick and have GI issues, people who are trying to resolve some food struggles might go on. I don't know a lot about the bland diet, but as he described it, he talked about it being really bland, right? Eating foods in their natural state without any added sauces or flavors. And this got me thinking, okay. And of course, he's starting to lose weight again. And he talked about the fact that, let's take ketchup, for instance. Okay, ketchup is a condiment. It's sort of considered a food, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. We know that it's processed, and I think it's got a lot of salt in it as well. But this food, and so my husband and I we were walking, and I was sharing with him what I was learning in this podcast, and kind of this interesting idea that kind of started to formulate in my head. And I started thinking about that these things that we add to our food, so not just the scientists and the chemistry sets, the chemicals that are being added to processed food, but then what about the food I'm adding, or the things that I'm adding to the foods I eat that get it to taste better? Okay, so this is kind of it's not good or bad. It just got us thinking that. Over the weekend, my husband had made this delicious sort of stir-fry tofu veggie scramble kind of thing, hash thing. It's kind of like a breakfast meal. And normally he loves to eat it with a lot of ketchup. And as we're talking, he said, you know what I just realized is that I eat more of the meal so that I can eat more of the ketchup. He really loves ketchup. Okay, so if you hate ketchup, sorry for the story, if it's kind of grossing you out. But the point is, he's able to eat so much more of this meal because of how much ketchup he uses. The things we add to our food causes us to eat more. What else? What other foods are like that? Are you thinking about other additives, other sauces, other spices? So I don't think I'm necessarily referring to standard spices like oregano and basil and turmeric and cumin. These definitely make our foods taste better. There's lots of antioxidants in certain spices, and they're very healthy and good for us to use. I don't know that these necessarily cause us to overeat. I think it just causes some flavor to come out in our food and taste good. But I don't know that without certain things in my food, would I continue to go back for seconds? If I was eating food in its natural state without added salt and added oil and added ketchup or soy sauce or dressings, right? Salad dressings or steak A1 sauce, okay? A lot of these sauces, now while they are higher in sugar, and so of course we're thinking about added sugar, we don't want to eat those in that form anyway. What about this idea that it's not only adding sugar and things into my diet that I don't want, but it's also causing me to want to eat more, to crave more of that flavor, right? We get that flavor in our mouth of the sauce, of the dressing. And it's not so much the food that you're eating you want more of, it's the sauce, it's the dressing. So I hope you can kind of pull some of your own kind of aha moments out of it. It really got me thinking. I'm not certainly not saying that sauces and dressings are necessarily bad, and they're not good, they're not bad. They're something that we have in our culture, and we use it to make foods taste better. But it got me thinking. It got me to kind of stop and pause and think, what are the foods that I rely on heavily on these other things that I put on it, right? So take, for instance, cheese, okay? Not good, not bad. I'm just saying cheese, we use that on potatoes. We use it on our broccoli. We use it on casseroles. We use it on our burgers. We use it on our salads. And for me, it's a very high flavor food. And it causes me to want to eat more of that thing because it's so flavorful. What if I took the cheese off? Could I still eat that food? And would I eat as much? I kind of feel like, so this is an experiment we're going to start trying this week. My husband and I are going to play around with this idea of eating foods in their more whole, natural state without as much added flavors, sauces, dressings. Again, not that they're good or bad, but how much of this food does our portion become a little bit more regulated? Do we feel fuller and more content more quickly? Are we satisfied with less because I don't have that taste bud screaming at me for that added thing, that added sauce? So anyway, that was my experience with this weekend, and it kind of tied in well with this chapter. So really, what is the takeaway? The takeaway is to be paying attention to the list of things that are in our foods that we're eating. What are the additives, and can we avoid them if possible? Again, not all of these additives are necessarily harmful. Not all of these additives are necessarily dangerous or will cause issues, but maybe we don't know. What if we don't know all of the potential harm? There are some additives and thickeners that have been shown to cause some disruption of the gut biome, kind of some upset stomach or, kind of a dysbiosis in the gut. So, that's something I'd like to avoid. And so, where I know which ones I can avoid and which ones I want to avoid, I'm going to try to do that. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope that's helpful. I hope you guys got you thinking a little bit. This is, of course, never medical advice, or I'm not, sharing something you should or shouldn't do, but it's a topic of conversation. That's what I love about this book, is that it brings up some really great, quick, sort of sound bites, topics of conversation for yourself, for your friends and loved ones, maybe around the dinner table. What do we think about this? How could we do better? What would I like to change in my diet or in my daily routine that can kind of clean it up a little bit? In my coaching, I call this a healthy upgrade. It's what can I look at? Okay, so I'm looking at my exercise, I'm looking at my nutrition, I'm looking at my mental health, I'm looking at the time I spend with loved ones, I'm looking at avoiding harmful substances like drugs and alcohol and smoking, and I'm thinking, which ones of these could I give a little boost to? Which one could use a little makeover or a little healthy upgrade? And sometimes it's just starting with 1%. How could I tweak this a little bit and improve it 1% from where I was yesterday? 1%. That's doable. That's small, right? That's a tiny little bit that I can, a little effort I can put in. Not too much. It's not overwhelming, but it's something I can commit to, right? So for this week, I think what I'm going to commit to is my 1% healthy upgrade for my entire week is I'm going to be looking at my meals and saying, what would I normally put on this? So I'll give you an example. We make this delicious plant-based pad thai with tofu, sauteed vegetables, and a peanut sauce. Now, the peanut sauce has natural whole peanut butter, molasses, soy sauce, apple cider vinegar, and cayenne. It's delicious. When I tell you it's delicious, I mean, it is mouth-watering, okay? It's like one of the best sauces ever. All of the ingredients in that list are whole and real foods. They're not harmful. They have health benefits, all of them. But I know when I put that sauce on the pad thai, I want to eat more and more. And that tang of the apple cider vinegar and the oil of the peanut butter and the salty of the soy sauce or amino acids, the pop and spice of the cayenne pepper or the cayenne, it makes me crave more. So where I would normally just eat one small portion and be done, when I'm finished with that bowl, I'm thinking, that was so good. It was so, so, so good. We have some leftovers of that. We made it last night for dinner. We have leftovers. So my goal this week is to think, okay, could I try eating that meal without the sauce? How much would I eat of it? Would I eat a more reasonable portion and not, because I'll tell you, I ate too much last night. I know I did. I felt so full because I put more in the bowl than I normally would have because I knew how good it was. So what if I eat it without the sauce, or just cut way back, right? Use less of the sauce and try to appreciate the meal for the flavors of the veggies and everything else in there. And what happens? What happens to my satiety? So that's my goal this week. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm experimenting on myself. I'm playing around with this idea to explore sauces and added flavors, added spices, added dressings. I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you find something here that excites you to kind of move forward and find some new motivation in your week. Have a wonderful week. If I don't talk with you on the phone this week or see you at the office, I hope you guys are all doing well. And we'll catch you next week on Mondays, every Monday at 12:30 live. And Dr. Gilbert will be back. All right. You guys take care. Have a great one.